What's up, Comic Frontline? It's Mr. J here, and I am back once again, and I am here today to give you guys a movie review. And you can't see it because the lighting in my room right now is a little weird, but I'm wearing a gray Batman shirt with the bat symbol on it because we are here to talk about the latest DC animated movie, Batman Bad Blood. This review is a little late, even though technically the DVD doesn't release till this coming Tuesday as of this recording. It released digitally last week, and I watched it on uh, PlayStation, and it was this is a continuation of the I guess that new Batman DC animated movie continuity. Starting with the movie, Son of Batman, then Batman versus Robin. So this is, I guess, the third movie in this saga, and this was actually the best of the saga. I mean, that's not saying much, but I will say I enjoyed this a lot more than I enjoyed both Son of Batman and Batman vs. Robin, even though I'm still not a huge fan of Stuart Allen's voice for Damian. But it's grown on me somewhat. So, let's go ahead and get into this. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad, and then we'll give my overall rating. So, first, the good. Essentially, Batman Bad Blood, not to be confused with the awesome Taylor Swift song, has to do with Batman going missing after a run-in with a villain known as the Heretic, who some of you guys may know from Grant Morrison's Batman Inc. run. And then Batman, gets caught in an explosion while trying to help Batwoman. He saves Batwoman from the explosion, and he dies, goes missing, and it's up to Dick Grayson, who's now taken up the mantle of Batman, to make sure that Gotham City still has a Batman. And Damian Wayne, Robin, who's come out of his self-imposed exile from the last movie, to go and find Batman, or to see if Batman's really dead, and if he's not, go and find him and all that stuff. There's Batwing also gets. We also get introduced to Luke Fox, aka Batwing, who instead of in the comics, he's like an MMA fighter who gets handpicked by Batman to be part of the Batman Inc. program and as the new Batwing. He just happens to be a random soldier, like former ex-soldier guy who, has been around Wayne Tech so much growing up that he knows where to look for all his dad's fancy toys. And when Lucius Fox gets injured by the villains, he feels it's his responsibility to, make his father's attackers, pay, but not in like a super violent Rambo kind of way. And so he becomes Batwing and he decides to help. And yeah, as you can see, I'm not really a fan of that story. I'll get into that when I talk about the bad, though. What is the good of this story? Well, first of all, animation is good. I liked the animation a lot. The animation is very well done. The fight scenes and the action scenes, very nice. Really well choreographed, well paced, nice. I really enjoyed those. Um, Probably for me at least, the most standout character of the movie was Kate Kane, Batwoman. They pretty much adapt her origin story from the comics very, very well. I really enjoyed it. I'm not like the most hardcore Kate Kane Batwoman fan, but I really enjoyed the pre-New 52 run on Detective, where she was the main star. I really enjoyed that. And they do a really great job of showing her character and, her relationship with her father, which was really well done. Her past as an ex-soldier. The fact that, she was inspired by Batman in a way, but she doesn't want to need Batman to ever rescue her again. So that's kind of why she wants to do her own thing. And I like how she always referred to the Bat family as like a little cult. I thought that was cool. I like her attitude. She's very well done. And I also really enjoyed the fact that her and Dick have, at least in this universe, have prior history and a relationship and an established friendship. That was really cool. Another cool thing about this movie, Dick Grayson's story. I really enjoyed Dick's story about, living up to the mantle of Batman and being in Bruce's shadow, what it was like for him growing up in that shadow, and explains more of why he had that falling out with him and why he's, not as involved with the family anymore, at least at this point. But it's a good rallying point for him coming together, and I like his relationship with Damian. I wish it would have been built up a little bit more. I mean, that's not necessarily in the bad, but it's not necessarily in the good either, which is why I'm mentioning it here. And I like that Damien is starting to grow. I mean, even if it's, a slow burn, I like that he is starting to grow. Very well done there. So, that's pretty much all the good I have for this part. We're going into the bad. Pretty much the entire bad, I can sum it up really quickly, is the fact that instead of the old school DC animated movie way, where you just choose one story and you adapt it, or at least you take elements just from that story. What these new DC animated movies try to do, and what I don't really like, is they take bits and pieces and they try to mash them together and make it into one movie. That's not really cohesive. Like when they bring in the Heretic, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool, and then, spoiler alert, Heretic gets killed off. Like, what's the point of that? The whole Talia thing, I wasn't really invested in that. I didn't care. What else? I did like the fact they're bringing in, like, C-list villains like Killer Moth and Firefly and, the Mad Hatter. Pretty cool. The fact that in the commercials, they advertise this whole thing about Dick getting to be Batman. Dick putting on the suit because Batman's missing or gone. That only lasted for about 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, and it was solved pretty quick. He'd never put on the Batman suit ever again after they found Bruce. He just went back to being Nightwing, which I'm cool with. But what I wish would have happened was, he's in the suit for most of the time, and then towards the end they find Batman. And then at the end, he's like, I know it's cliche, but I would have preferred this over what we got, where Dick is like, hey, look, before, I idolized you, I wanted to be you, and now I wanted to be myself. But now that I've realized what you have to go through as Batman, I want to apologize. I'm starting to understand now, and I know why, I kind of am glimpsing of why you are the way you are, and I'm sorry for being so hard on you for that, and I'm sorry if I let you down as Batman, type of thing. And of course Bruce would be like, no, Dick, I'm proud of you, and then pat to Damien on the head, I'm proud of you too, son. And I thought that would have been really cool. It would have been cheesy, but I think it would have been really well done. I would have liked that. Another thing, I really did enjoy the Bat family coming together, but was Batwing really needed in this movie? I feel like if you want to introduce Batwing, you should have gave him his own movie instead of shoehorning him into this, because Batwoman fit in really well. Batwoman and Dick Grayson have an established connection, and you see their friendship, and you see chemistry between them. Like, Luke knows Dick somehow, and I guess that makes sense since Wayne Enterprises, Lucius works for Wayne Enterprises. Luke is obviously Lucius's son. But I mean, you don't see the chemistry you see between Betty and Dick that you see between, why did I say Betty? It's not Betty Kane, it's Kate Kane. Between Kate and Dick that you see, and Luke and Dick. You don't see much between them. And that's why I feel like he should have had his own movie. Like, he was there, but he was just there. But overall, I think this movie was decent, for sure. Better than the other two that we've gotten so far, for this saga at least. And I am actually relatively interested in Justice League versus Titans, because the idea seems really cool. We're just going to see if the execution is better. But if this trend continues, I mean, it's progressively gotten better They just need to work on their plots. So who knows? Overall, I think I'd give it a 3 out of 5, and I would say it's worth renting or buying digitally, but I wouldn't, waste your time on the DVD unless you want to get like the figure set, which is cool, I guess, because I mean those figures do look cool. But yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5. I say check it out if you're curious, but unless you're like a huge Batman fan, I'd skip it. It's pretty average. It's nothing special. Uh, which sadly is the case for a majority of these new DC animated movies. Well, that's pretty much it for this review, you guys. Don't forget to like this video to let us know you enjoyed it. Subscribe to Comic Frontline if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And don't forget to download Frontline Live on iTunes. And we are also proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So don't forget to check us out on there. Now, this has been Jay from Mr. Jay's Comic Reviews for Comic Frontline with a movie review for you. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.